Hi.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
Want to talk about
Congrats.
the horn dog that is
Working from
Cam?
home.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
But I made a salad because I was home. I was like, oh, I can make a salad.
I am going to try to eat this fruit quietly
You can add some ASMR.
while we talk about this episode. Welcome everybody to this episode of Squintcast. My name is Kelly.
And I'm Brittany.
And today we're going to talk about Bones Season 4, Episode 2, titled
The Yanks in the UK. Part 2. Or 2.
Part 2. Okay, tell me about the writers and the director and everything.
Okay, let me tell you. So this episode was directed by the same person as the first part, Ian Twainton, so we don't really have to talk about him much. But, however, it was written by two different people, and normally Hart Hansen gets in there, who's the creator of the show, as a writer, but he did not get involved in this one.
Really?
Instead, the other showrunner, Stephen Nathan, helped write this episode of Bones.
Okay.
He only wrote 24 episodes of the whole show, which sounds like a lot, but it's not that much. So he wrote The Man in the SUV, Two Bodies in the Lab, The Soldier on the Grave, Mother and Child in the Bay, Headless Witch in the Woods, Glowing Bones in the Old Stone House.
Wow.
And The Pain in the Heart.
Okay.
And then a bunch of other episodes.
Sorry about clearing my throat like that. Apologies.
No problem.
I'm sorry that Hart Hansen wasn't involved in this because there's some really problematic directions it goes into.
Yeah.
I have so many times in my
There's
notes.
so many
Brittany,
issues.
I want to tell you. Normally my notes run from like 5 to 7 pages long, and I'm doing bullet points, blah, blah, blah. It's very close together. Today, 10 pages of notes. And almost on every page, like 3 or 4 times per page, I have capitalized like what I'm writing because I'm yelling at the fucking, like I'm yelling on my keyboard because I'm so mad, or like I think something is absolutely ridiculous.
This episode, if it had to have a song, it would be
Let's
Talk About Sex, Baby.
Baby, let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. My God.
That's what they should have named this episode.
Let's talk about sex. Here is salt and pepper. Oh, yeah.
Does it have the lyrics on the screen?
Yes.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
All the good things and the bad things that may be about sex. Anyway, how can you go wrong with salt and pepper?
Salt and pepper.
I can't believe you know who they are. They were like so 80s.
Thank you. Good
for you,
so
Brittany.
Cultured, and I know so many things about music. That is one point in the Brittany category.
Yes.
Yes, finally. I should give credit to a guy named Scott Williams, who's also a producer of the show, and he wrote 7 episodes total. He also wrote this episode.
Okay.
So The Truth and the Lie, The Girl and the Gator, Mummy in the Maze, The Santa and the Slush, and then part 2. of the Yanks in the UK, and then he goes on to write 2 more episodes of season 4, and then he's donezo. He does not write
Wow.
any more episodes.
Oh well, let's. I'm hoping that we get a lot of laughs out of this because the episode. Oh, whatever. We're gonna talk about it.
Oh my god, poor Clark. That's all I have to say.
God, not
Clark-
even. There's so many people I feel sorry for in this frickin' episode, but there's some ridiculous things. Anyway.
I know we normally talk about this at the end, but can I just tell you who my king of the lab is
You're
from the
king.
beginning? My
You're
king of the lab
already. Yes.
already is Clark. And
It's
we're going to talk about why.
Brittany, spoiling early in the show.
I love Clark. He's so great.
I haven't decided who my king is. I know who my rat is, but we're not going to talk about that yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
shall we begin?
Let's begin. So let's begin. So we start on the lab, the forensic platform, the lab platform, and Hodgins is there, and Clark and Cam are there, and Angela, and they're chatting mostly about not work, but Clark is trying to catalog some remains while Brennan's still in London. And so Angela and Hodgins are talking about how, oh yeah, the divorce papers, he finally signed them. Okay, actually, that's pretty good news. Excellent. Oh, Sweets is there too. Sorry. Anyway, so poor Clark.
Why is Sweets here? Why is Sweets even here?
Sweets is here in a lot of this, even though he's an FBI person,
even
is in a lot of this episode uninvited.
Was he just invited to this lunch, this divorce celebration lunch that they were all going to go to?
Perhaps he got there early, but perhaps it was also so that he could be there to witness Birnbaum, aka Grayson, aka Angela's ex-husband, walking onto the platform. Which who let him there?
Who is letting this guy in? They should be fired.
For sure, whoever the security guard is doing a bad job. Anyway, so Grayson is just like, hello, I your happiness is all that matters to me, Angela. So yes, I must go now. Anyway, so it's like so ridiculous. And poor, again, Clark is like, isn't this all extremely awkward? Why is this happening right now? Which is exactly how we're feeling. Anyway, so Cam offers to drive this dude to the airport because obviously he decided to come and stop by one more time instead of just taking the cab he was already in directly to the airport.
Just go to the airport, man.
But that's fine. Anyway, so they go off and Clark is standing there and he's like, honestly, I really don't have to be included in everything, guys. Please stop including me. And that's the end of our time in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Next.
So that was back at the lab. They're all going to have a divorce celebration.
Yes.
People keep letting Grayson back into this place willy-nilly. He just gets to walk around, no problem. And
oh my God.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And the funny line in that one was where Angela thanked him for the divorce. She's like, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much for doing that.
Thanks for the divorce. I really appreciate it.
Very, very silly.
It's so ridiculous.
But I just want to say too, Sweets is here. I've already complained about him being here.
Yes.
But he's here as this person who seems to feel he has this need to psychologically like analyze and explain to people how everyone is feeling. Like he tries to psychoanalyze everyone's feelings and moments. And I was just like, one of my first instances of using capital letters in my notes. Already? No one asked you, Sweets. Like no one asked you to do this. Seriously.
No one did. And no one wants the advice. No one wants any commentary, especially not Clark.
No.
Especially not Clark.
So, our next scene, we are back in England. And we have, okay, this scene. This scene is, regardless, they're packing up the cab with all their bags outside this hotel they apparently stayed at while they were in England. And Booth and Brennan has so many gift bags. I just want to say, like, the car is out of control. They have so many bags. Booth, of course, has his one army sack, and he was given one gift by the Scotland Yard. He was given a bobblehead Bobby, and he was very excited about it.
It's
But
so cute.
Brennan has gift bags. Like, she's the richest woman in the world, and she went shopping on Rodeo Drive. She has like gift bags. Apparently, all these students of Ian Wexler's gave her all these gifts. My problem with this is not the gifts, Brittany. It's the fact that she didn't pack them, that they're in gift bags.
They're just loose.
And she's just loose bags that she's piling into the cab to go on a plane. I'm like, are they
She
flying
hasn't even looked
private?
at them.
Are they flying private? Because this is the only situation where open gift bags are acceptable.
That's a good point.
Like, how everybody in their freaking right mind would take all the things out and put them in your suitcase.
That is very true.
This is my problem
I didn't
number
even think
two
about, I
of
didn't
the
even
whole
think
thing.
about that. I just thought of the fact, who is giving gifts to Brennan? What the
Okay,
heck is that about? Don't people
we're
just want
gonna
her
get
book
into all
signed?
that as well, like this whole Ian Wexler's students thing.
It's so weird. Oh, I have many questions actually as we go on.
This is only my third problem. First problem, Grayson
We're
has
only on
free reign
scene
of the
2.
Jeffersonian.
Yeah.
Sweets is hanging around psychoanalyzing every fucking interaction. You know, Brennan has open gift bags that she's just going to carry on. Was she going to put them in her overhead friggin' compartment? No. And
She must be flying a chartered airline.
yes, and Booth's hair is red. It's very red in this scene.
It
He
is.
seems like he has a red hair. Yeah.
It's the lighting or something. I'm not
Yep.
sure. But
So sunny.
oh my God. And say it ain't so. We cut to the next scene, which is obviously Cam and Birnbaum boning.
Yeah.
Like that went from 0 to 100. And
I
she's like,
called it.
oh,
I knew right away they were going to sleep together. I was like, oh yeah,
God.
she's
I
going to
did
go
not.
for it.
He's like, oh, here, why don't, and they spent the night together because he's offering to buy her breakfast because apparently his flight was canceled. And so she's like, oh my God, earth-shattering sex and breakfast. I can die a happy woman. Like, okay, raise the bar, Cam. Anyway, so
I knew they were going to do that.
are they going to get married too?
No, I'm going to mention, although you never know, right? I'm going to mention right now in this scene right here with Cam and Grayson / Birnbaum / whatever. Cam is a very confident and happy woman. Okay? I'm just going to mention it. Very confident woman.
What an excellent thing to mention, because I'm sure she's going to carry that personality characteristic all the way through the whole episode.
Regardless, back in England, we have Booth and Brennan still packing the cab with all their gift bags. During this period of time, while they're talking about the gift bags and blah, 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 they're also talking about Professor Ian Wexler. They're spending all this time talking about this guy who never called Brennan to say goodbye and how, like, you know, it's because you didn't have sex with him, so he doesn't want to say goodbye to you. He has no respect for you. And they have this weird conversation. And then Booth's talking about how he can't wait to be back in the US and talking about how much England sucks. And I was thinking, like, is Booth like a basic bitch or what? Does he eat chicken salad in Japan? Like, what is wrong with this guy? Seriously. And he's also going on about how he wants to be a knight as well.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't like England, but he thinks it's a pretty cool thing to get knighted. Anyway, because he doesn't get any accolades. He wants more accolades for being of service to his country, I guess. And he's not wrong.
Sealy Booth.
He likes the sound of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets a phone call at this point, and he answers the phone. And then just as he answers the phone, of course, Brennan starts talking to him about how she doesn't need any accolades. She knows she's smart, blah, blah, blah. Pet peeve number 758. I've talked to you about this, about how I don't like it when people talk to me when I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
But Booth's face is very like, oh my God, he's like loses all the blood in his face.
Great acting moment.
And turns out after he gets off the phone, he tells Brennan something happened with Professor Ian Wexler. We don't know yet, but it's something happened with him.
Bum, bum, bum. It's very interesting because these episodes aired. That was excellent. These episodes aired back to back, but they're, other than the overlapping characters, they're pretty distinct episodes, I would say.
Right.
Like we have Pritchard and Ian Wexler come back, but otherwise, and we have one other character that comes back, which we'll talk about, but otherwise they're pretty independent. So we're back at the lab, and I feel like I'm basically talking about B-plot for the entire episode so far. And poor Clark, again, is just trying to examine a skeleton, and he's talking about his findings with Angela and Hodgins, who don't want to talk about anything other than now that the divorce is finalized, where they're going to get married. Apparently, they're trying to decide between Maine or Jamaica. And yeah, Cam walks in and is like, hey, sorry I'm late. What did I miss? And then Angela Hodgins innocently asks, did Angela's ex get off okay? And Cam is like, whoa, buddy, inappropriate question. And yeah, it's a little awkward. And Hodgins is like, wait, I'm talking about like getting him off, go to the airport. She's like, oh yeah, he's gone. So, and then she just kind of like gets all awkward, and Cam is like, okay, yeah, Maine or Jamaica, either place is good to get married. Okay, bye. And then just kind of walks off. And Clark is like, where am I working? What is happening right now?
We'll talk a little bit about Clark and how he's reacting to all of this again later on. But yes, Cam at this moment, I'm sorry, I'm frustrated because it bothers me when women are written like this. It bothers me that Cam has been written this way because she's in this place of no chill. She has no chill. So everything has a sexual entendre, a double entendre, right? So everything you say is like, what? What do you mean? Oh, sex? No, what? She's acting all awkward.
Get off? What?
Get off? What do you mean? Oh, yes, of course he went to the airport, of course. Like just weird reactions like that. And then she extricates herself from the conversation really quickly and awkwardly. And Angela even like Angela's spidey senses are up. Like she's like, what the hell's wrong with her? Like she's acting really weird. Really weird.
She's acting so weird. I don't know. It's just this B plot. It just it trickles through the whole episode. We'll keep talking about it, but it's a weird one. So we end up back in London, of course, and it would appear that whatever scene Ian Wexler was involved in appeared to have been set on fire. So they're outside of this row of apartment buildings where clearly there has been a fire that was just put out. And so Pritchard is there to meet them, and she would like Brennan to look at the remains that are inside this apartment, which happens to be, no surprise there, Ian Wexler's place.
Yes.
So yeah, Pritchard insists that she take a look at the remains because Ian always talked very highly of her. So they go to head into the apartment, and Booth goes with her, of course. So they go into the apartment and they start looking around, and it looks
Brittany.
like, pardon?
There's still smoke coming off of everything. There's
this is not an appropriate
there.
time to go.
They have no protective clothing on.
No.
Where's the fire inspector? What's happening? Like this is like crime number 752. And also, they walk into his flat, his apartment. This is Professor Wexler's apartment. I assume he is a tenured professor at Oxford.
I wanted to
Why
talk
is
about this,
he-
but we were going to talk about it later. But yes.
Why is he living in this place? It's a tiny bachelor apartment. And
We
like, and I'm supposed to believe that he picked up women and brought them back here and had sex with them?
in like
And he's
10
so good at
scenes.
sex. He's so amazing at sex.
In like 10
Jesus.
scenes from now, I was wondering how much does Brennan make outside of her book deals? Because I'm like, okay, there's a couple things
Well,
that
she's
happen
flying
that I'm like,
private, obviously.
obviously. So she's doing just fine.
She's okay.
Oh my God. So yeah, they go into the fiery, the smoking room with a potential suspect because Pritchard is his partner. So you would think
She shouldn't be here.
she should not be there at
It's not
all.
even suspect. Fucking conflict of interest. Booth and
Definite
Brennan
conflict
shouldn't
of
even be there.
interest. No one, none of these people should be there. Absolutely
Oh
not.
my God.
So they go in, they look around, and they were thinking that the thought is that there was some sort of gas explosion and he was drinking and accidentally set his place on fire with the cigarette that was in his hand. Except, small problem, Ian
Yeah.
Wexler doesn't smoke.
Doesn't smoke.
Number 2, there's no water in the kettle. So it's not like there was like stove that was on. That supposedly that's where the gas leak would have come from. But Booth points out that there's no water in the kettle. And if there's no water in the kettle, then you would think that it's because the gas has been on long enough that the water could have evaporated. But he's like,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
But he's like,
No.
but that would mean that it would have had to be on.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a
For it to evaporate.
couple issues
There's a couple
here.
little clues, and then Brennan she found some physical evidence on the remains that proves that it wasn't an accident.
Yeah. And then we have our opening credits.
Ian Wexler was murdered.
Bum, 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 bum. Bum. Did you realize that there's a new Law and Order Toronto?
I know. People are already complaining about it. Of course you will.
Really?
You watch all the bad stuff.
Was it bad? Did it get a bad rating?
I don't know. I'm sure it's not like primo. Come on. Nobody makes a good show here, do they?
Maybe. You know what? Star Trek, what is it called? Strange New Worlds. That is Canadian, and it is the best Star Trek in my opinion.
It is made here. You're correct. And I haven't watched you know what? It's not on Crave anymore. And
yeah,
I don't
noticed
get
that.
the channel it's on. So I went to watch it the other day. I was like, oh, Greg's gone for a week. I'll binge Strange New Worlds. I go to Crave. It's gone. I try to find it. It's on Paramount Plus, which costs $13 a month I have to pay.
What?
I was like, why do I have to pay more money?
There's all these different platforms. It's like Netflix, Prime,
but then
Disney Plus. It's like all these things.
I get so mad when I just now I have to buy another fucking channel.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I already pay for all these channels, so I'm never gonna see it. I'm never gonna see it.
That's so frustrating. Hopefully when it comes back out, like when they release the new season, then they'll just put it on a more regular platform that I already have.
Fuck yeah, man.
Hopefully.
That sucks. Somebody buy it. Somebody put it somewhere I can get it, for God's sake.
I hope so. It's very good though.
I didn't get to see the season of Picard either. And yeah, I didn't watch any of it because it was
that was pretty good too.
What kind of licensing agreements do people have? Jesus.
Ridiculous. Ones that make them a shit ton of money and make us pay like $15 a month. For
so much money.
Times like 10 for each of these.
And now Prime is putting commercials on now?
Yeah, I noticed that actually. Such a pain. They're pretty short, but still.
Assholes.
Okay. So we go back to the weirdest scene ever.
Back at the lab.
Back at the lab. We're in Cam's autopsy room, and she appears to have called Sweets to come join her in this autopsy room because she has a problem that she needs to discuss. And so she's like looking at this, not operating, but dissecting this brain.
Mhm.
And Sweets and her start chatting, and she tells Sweets that she slept with Birnbaugh. And
Mhm.
Sweets is like, oh shit, why would you do that? Oh my God. And then starts to give her advice that she should be honest with Angela and upfront with her because it'll help her feel better about her guilt and anxiety that she's feeling about this. Yes. You're putting up your finger as if you have all caps things to say.
Yes, you're correct. I do. First of all, Sweets is really excited she's dissecting a brain. He thinks it's really cool. And I'll admit it is. It is pretty cool.
But he's been in medical school. So he would have had to do this already in medical school.
Thank
It's
you.
not the first time.
Very good.
that
He's
he's
not the
seen a
first
brain.
brain. Exactly. She wants to know from Sweets if she should be honest with Angela about the situation. Because she and Angela are friends. And she feels guilty. I ask you this, Brittany. I'm sorry. This is very dramatic. I realize.
No,
this.
please. Please tell me.
Are they friends? Really?
No.
Like, since
They're work
when are they?
friends.
When were they friends? When are they friends? When have Cam and Angela ever been friends?
Well, they're work friends. Also, Cam didn't even go to her divorce party. Instead of going to her divorce party, she went and boned the person they're celebrating the divorce from.
I don't care if you get along with somebody at work. That's not the point. You're not
No,
friends.
that's a work friend.
You're not friends.
Work friend.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this.
This is an important distinction. Work friends are different than personal life friends.
Sweets tells her to be honest with Angela and tell her because Angela's pretty open-minded. She'll probably take it okay. And then he asks if he can touch the brain with his hands. And he says the one thing that I thought was really funny in the whole world, and I want to make stickers that say this. He said, it's squishy.
With his bare hands.
Oh, yeah.
Bare
He went
fingers.
for it. He went for it. For sure.
Also, she said only once, but he went like 3 times. So
he
he's
couldn't
basically
help
like a
himself.
toddler.
He is like a toddler. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God. Angela walks in to end this weird conversation. And she breaks the news to the Washington, D.C. team that Ian Wexler has been killed. So they're going to stay for a little bit longer so that they can do an investigation there. And she's going to start sending all the crime scene photos, x-rays, etc. and using her beaming power, aka video link, to stay in communication with the lab, which I guess they don't have anything else ongoing. No other important crime scenes to attend to in Washington, D.C. But that's fine. Anyway.
Brittany.
Yes.
There's so many things about this whole case that are so crazy.
This episode is very cringe. Anyway.
Back in England.
Okay. Tell me about what happens.
Okay. I'm going to talk about this.
Please do.
Because I'm just going to ask you, why is this happening? Why is this happening? We have D.I. Pritchard standing in front of a bunch of students, apparently at Oxford University.
Yes.
Is this what we're talking about? And
yes, the Oxford University.
She's telling them they're not sure, but they might have found their teacher burnt up in his apartment. They're pretty sure, but they're not sure. Why
it's
is
so
this
awkward?
They're not even confirmed on the DNA. And have they told Ian Wexler's family that he's dead yet? Like, they're just
probably
going to Oxford University. This would never happen.
No.
This would never. What is happening at Oxford wouldn't like the police talk to the dean or whoever's in charge there, and they would do some kind of public relations type of press conference? Like, it's absolutely insane. Regardless, Pritchard's broken up about this. Brennan steps in and finishes up the little speech by saying that she's pretty sure it's Wexler and that he was murdered. She tells a bunch of university students that she's pretty sure their professor was murdered. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And then Pritchard, okay, so guys, we're gonna need to talk to you. Like, she's being all like, no, 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 no. You get like a piece of paper that says, come here at this time and we're going to question you about this. Like, it's not like, it's okay, guys. Like, stick around. We're going to talk to you after this. Anyway, I can't believe this is happening. This whole auditorium full of kids thing.
And then Pritchard takes the opportunity to try to put Booth in his place for trying to help. Being like, I'm the lead on this investigation. Back off, Booth.
I didn't
and
care
I'm like,
about
whoa.
that so much.
I don't know. She was just a mess. Like, this whole situation would never happen. And Pritchard's standing there, like, absolutely in shambles.
Yeah.
Did you notice? So they kept kind of zooming in on this one student's face, who we go on next to meet him. His name is Cyril. And
yes,
there's also another student, Vera, that is with them.
Yes.
And so they have been working with Ian Wexler on a dig.
We met them in the last episode, and
did we? Oh yeah,
I think
briefly.
they were the two kids that were there at the dig, and I called them Charles Dickens characters.
Yes,
and
you did.
I continue to call them Charles Dickens characters throughout this episode.
Did we know their names in the last episode?
I think
I can't remember.
Ian says, Cyril, Vera, go on back to your work, or like he shoves them away, like pushes them away when they're in the middle of trying to help.
Okay.
They were looking at while Ian and Brennan were looking at the screen and like pictures or whatever, and the kids were like, hey, what's going on? Oh, that looks like blah, blah, blah. They were giving their own opinions. I
completely forgot.
You don't remember? Yeah, you remember?
I completely forgot that they were in the last episode. Anyway, so they're part of the dig. So they basically say, listen, we were with him the night before last and he was perfectly fine. He was just going out for a drink with his buddies. All was good. And then they start getting worried about how they're going to finish the dig, and they completely forget about this guy being dead. And they basically just leave them. And they say, yeah, stick around in case we have questions, but good luck with your lives. Bye.
Well, we're just going to mention, too, for anyone who's not following along, that this dig, quote unquote dig, is something that's happening because there's a real estate developer that wants this dig shut down because they're interfering with him developing the land. Because Ian Wexler was told he had to go in and see if he could find any evidence of specific historical artifacts that would stop the development from happening. So there's this happening as well. It's kind of like a political thing.
And that developer, that developer happens to be the father of the victim from the last episode too.
Right. So that's all intertwined.
Small world.
Very familiar characters. When the guys, they said his name was Cyril, this kid, the Charles Dickens guy, I was like, of course his name is Cyril. Like, whatever. I just gotta say too, the next scene, Brennan is in this cave lab. I don't know why she's in this
so
cave.
Weird. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but she's in this lab that's in the middle of like a dungeon. And I'm like, how do you get any work done in here that's so dark? Like, you need
how does she even have Wi-Fi? Like, she's beaming with these people.
She's got a little camera that she's like, can you imagine the horrible resolution of this camera feed all the way from England to Washington in 2000 whatever?
Oh my God, it would be you would never be able to see anything on it.
It would be all like blah, 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 blah. What? It would be like in Zoom when it gets there's a delay anyway.
Yes.
the technology is amazing. So she's got this camera. She's showing everybody at the lab, like moving it around the body. I just can't get over this shit that she's beaming x-rays to the lab and everyone's going to help her because the remains have to stay in England. And I'm like, I wrote down, like, is there no one else in England or Scotland or Wales or Ireland who can do this kind of work? Is there nowhere else in anywhere in Great Britain that is not a dungeon for them to work in to do this
Yeah.
murder investigation?
It's all very odd because apparently
Very
isn't
strange.
this supposed to be Wexler's lab?
Why is
His
she
low
examining
low
his
budget
remains
lab.
in his lab?
The
Jesus.
whole thing is
Oh
so
my
weird.
God. Ugh,
So the x-rays
sorry.
that she sent, no, why are you sorry? These are all valid points. The x-rays that she had sent have started to get to Washington D.C. So Clark is going through them and trying to make what he can from the x-rays, and notes the same thing that Brennan already noted, that there was some damage to this guy's forehead. And so yeah, there was some small thing that Clark points out saying, was there something on top of his femur? And sure enough, she finds this poker chip. Sorry, I have to cough.
Yes.
So she finds this poker chip, and I'm like, how did she not notice it before? Like, it took Clark to get a picture of an x-ray for her to find it, but anyway.
Well, the other thing he says, I don't know if you're going to say this, I apologize if you are.
No, go on.
He thinks that the victim, Ian Wexler, suffered some BFT, blunt force trauma, that was inflicted
Yes.
by a ball peen hammer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but did that give it away for you?
Kind of.
100%.
Yeah.
Just like I knew Cam was going to sleep with Grayson. I was like,
From the
telegraph
beginning of the
much?
episode, I think it was only a couple scenes in, I was like, yeah, I know who did it.
Obviously.
It was pretty obvious, but that's okay. So obviously Angela takes this time to tell Brennan that she is now a divorced woman because Grayson signed the divorce papers. She could have texted her that. She could have called her at a time that wasn't work, but they're work friends. So that's how that works, I guess. Anyway, so Brennan congratulates her, and then Cam gets all weird and is like, oh yeah, okay, hard to believe, we'll talk soon, bye. Very weird. But she notices, on the most important takeaway, I guess, from this scene is that poker chip. She notices some markings on it, so she's able to tell Booth that she found this and it can lead them to their next destination.
Right. Two things. When Angela hops on that call and tells her about the divorce, I was really mad. I was like, read the room, Angela. Get over yourself. No one gives a shit. A, B. She finds this logo on the poker chip and it says like HGH or something like that.
HGC.
Yes. So she gets Booth on the case of the poker chip. Hopefully he doesn't relapse into his gambling ways.
I know.
God.
That's what I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
Chip. Oh no.
They go to England, this guy dies, he starts gambling again. What the hell?
London's not a good place.
Not a good place. And he can't drive anywhere.
And he can't drive anywhere. But at least he can go on a double-decker bus anywhere. That's pretty cool.
Jesus, Murphy.
So they end up at Highgate Gentlemen's Club, which is for gentlemen of London, not in the way that you would expect to find a gentleman's club in Toronto, where you might see a stripper or a pole.
Yeah, exactly. Booth thought it was a strip club.
Because he's like, oh, was he with a woman? He seems, they just call him man in the script, in case you wanted to know.
Nameless man. Nameless manager they can't even interview him inside the fucking club. He's outside talking to them on the street.
And normally, if this interaction happened in Washington, D.C., in Bones, this guy, man, we will call him, he would have told
Man.
these guys to go away, that he has no information for them. But instead, he's like, oh, let me tell you all about Ian Wexler. He paid off his tab. He owed a lot, so it was actually very impressive. Also, I took this video because after he paid off £5,000, these guys, they came in and they kidnapped him from my club. And I thought it might be important. I might be able to use it later. Also, look at these distinguishing tattoos on these young gentlemen.
Yeah.
So
the fact that Booth doesn't know that this isn't a strip club is ridiculous to me. I feel like they're making Booth out to be so
idiot.
Stupid in these 2 episodes. Like, he's never had a cup of tea. He doesn't know how to drive. He doesn't understand words. Like, seriously. There's something later that, this is here. This is where he says it. Where he paid off his tab.
Yeah, the £5,000 tab.
The manager said that Ian Wexler was flush. Yeah. And Booth says he doesn't know what that means. He doesn't understand what flush means.
You know, rolling in dough. What does he think it means? Dough. Like flushed in his face?
I don't know what the fuck he thinks it means.
I don't know. What does that mean?
No way. There's no way Booth doesn't know what that means.
Not a chance.
God.
So this poor guy is just like, man, if I thought they were going to kill him, I would have done something more than just taking this video. And Booth's just like, don't worry, man. Don't beat yourself up. I'm sure that you're just doing the best you can.
Wow.
It was such a weird interaction. Oh my God.
We never see him again, by the way.
Never see man again. No. He's gone. He's out of our lives now. Him and his video that they don't even ask a copy of. They just look at it. They're like, oh, thank you.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Thank you for this great video. So
Booth's hair is so red also. I just want to say.
Yeah, I think it must be the lighting.
Okay.
Do you think he dyes it?
I don't know what's going on with his hair, I'll be honest with you. It's very strange. I just want to talk about this situation because we're going to have a little discussion. Because we go back at the lab. Cam and Angela are walking and talking, and Cam tells Angela that Ian Wexler was really drunk. He had a lot of Merlot and scotch, but he had no drugs or nicotine in his system. And then they're walking onto the platform together and they each swipe their cards. I might have to ask you to look at the video at this point because Cam swipes her card like a crazy person. I'm going to show you what I mean. She took her card to swipe. The noise went off. She didn't put the magnetic strip through the thing. She just kind of went just with the corner and went like this and it went and let her onto the platform.
No.
I watched it 5 times in a row because I was like, what are you doing, girl? She obviously was very concerned about getting her lines off correctly and getting to her marks. But I was just like, why are you swiping your card like that? She's not even putting it through the machine. Anyway, they come onto the platform and Clark is there on the platform and he tells Angela and Cam that Ian was a rower. He was a person who used to row and he suffered from a headbutt before he died. Then Cam asks Angela what she's up to. And Cam starts to walk away after Angela says, well, I have to do X, Y, and Z. Then Cam all of a sudden turns around and very casually says, by the way, I slept with your ex-husband, your husband/ex-husband.
And then Clark is like, no, thank you. I don't want to be here anymore.
I wrote down, Clark is abso-flabo. He's absolutely flabbergasted. Abso-flabo, and starts to walk away. And then Cam begs him to stay because she wants a witness. Then Cam explains to Angela, I'm sorry, I feel really bad about this. It happened. And at the end of the day, Angela says it's okay. This is crazy. It's crazy.
She says it's
It's-
okay, but the look on her face says it's not okay.
Well, no,
which is
the way that Cam does this is crazy. Then Hodgins shows up. He's going, "What's going on?" And, "Oh, I slept with Grayson." "Oh, really? Oh, okay. It doesn't matter. I love you. We're going to get married." I hate this whole thing. It's so dumb. Cam would never do this. She would be as cool as a fucking cucumber and wouldn't say shit.
You're
She
totally
didn't tell
right.
people she was sleeping with Booth. Yeah,
True.
I know.
She didn't
wasn't
tell
telling
anyone when they were sleeping with Booth.
No.
And it's so obvious that Brennan and Booth have this like weird will they won't they have relationships. You would think that would put her in a position where she'd be like,
Well, I don't even think
I
that's
slept
it.
with
I think
Booth.
that Cam was trying to keep it on the DL because obviously they work together, blah, 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 and they used to go out. Anyways, a history, who cares? Cam, as the person that we know her from season 2 and 3, I don't think would ever behave like this. I think it's absolutely crazy. And I certainly wouldn't if I slept. Okay, here's a question. Here's your question.
Okay.
What would you do if one of your friends slept with one of your exes? I wouldn't say Mark because you're like married for a long time, blah, blah, blah.
I
It's
feel
not
like
the
I
same.
wouldn't care.
I mean, Angela
It would
met
be
Grayson on a
weird.
beach and married him within 5 minutes, and then they didn't see each other for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Why does she care? Why
That's the
would
thing.
anyone care?
I don't know. Well, we will go on to discuss this further, obviously, in the weirdest
Obviously,
scene
in the
ever in
very
history.
the very odd, strange scene that I don't understand who wrote this. Anyway, all to say, Hodgins found some dirt in a plate that basically pinpoints Ian being at a rowing club within 24 hours of his death. So take
Very
it away,
helpful.
my darling.
It's
Yes.
very helpful. So obviously they go straight to this rowing club and they have the most ridiculous interaction with the people who are obviously the people that kidnapped Ian Wexler. They're trying to talk to them, and Brennan and Booth are trying to talk to these guys and say like, FBI, I have some questions. And this one rower these guys are rowers in case you didn't realize this. I'm sure you did. So one of the rowers, he just keeps like ignoring him. Actually, they both kind of do. One of them at least stops a little bit. But then this guy keeps ignoring him and tries to walk away. And so Booth grabs his arm to stop him. And the guy turns around and butts Booth in the head. But then ultimately is like, oh, this was a hard head. And so he falls over immediately. What happened? Kelly doesn't agree with my explanation of events.
No, it's ridiculous. Who does this?
Oh, it's
First of all,
ridiculous.
are rowers this rude? Like, I didn't know that rowers had a reputation of being really, really rude. And then the fact that this guy headbutts a known, like, Booth has
FBI
identified
agent.
himself as an FBI agent.
He's like, I think you're looking for America. Like, okay. Anyway,
So
after
rude.
he headbutts him, then he goes on to kind of help a little bit unintentionally by pointing out to them that apparently Pritchard and Ian were sleeping together. Oops, that seems like an important point that Pritchard should have shared with them.
There's a couple of things here. First of all, this guy is such a dick, honestly.
Oh, he's
the guy
such a dick.
He headbutts Booth, but Booth is such a strong, strapping American that the guy who headbutts him is the one that gets injured, which is hilarious.
Hilarious.
B. We learn that, yes, Ian screwed everybody, including Pritchard.
Yeah.
But then we also learn, I'm sure you were going to get to it, but whatever.
Go on.
They picked him up and dragged him out of the gentleman's club because he was drunk and he was supposed to go to a race. I'm really, really, really questioning this timeline right now because this guy, the headbutter, said that Ian Wexler slept in the boathouse.
Yes.
But how did he sleep at the boathouse If he was supposed to sleep at his house and get burnt up and murdered.
I think that was the night before last. So I think he died. This does go in line with what
But he
the
got drunk. He was drinking. He had his talk screen showed that he was full of alcohol.
that he was loaded. Oh, true. But
So-
maybe he was drunk again after the regatta. Because I think these are two separate days. I think that he rode in the morning after sobering up with coffee.
All right.
And then he went on a drinking binge again and then was murdered.
I'm not going to get bogged down. I'm just saying.
It doesn't make sense because the way it's implied is that all this stuff happened on the same day, which makes no sense
It doesn't
whatsoever.
make any sense. And all this bullshit with the rowing club is a red herring.
It's out of nowhere. Did this Ian Wexler guy strike you as someone who does physical activity like that intensely? Like,
Brittany, this is the other thing.
I'm like, he's like a full blown, like,
I
he's
said no one
older and
rows.
racing.
No one is rowing and racing at that age. And
No.
B, or maybe they are. I don't know. But I'm like,
Maybe.
really, like, Ian Wexler was not an athletic man.
No.
God.
So anyway, apparently some other guy, this guy who was part of the Queen's Guard, apparently he's the one who headbutted Ian Wexler, and it was not, in fact, the guy who just headbutted Booth. That was just a coincidence. Apparently this is something they just do in London instead of punching people. Just use your fists. Anyway, so this guy Jasper Ferry. So we go on to the funniest scene where Booth is. They go to question Jasper Ferry, who is a member of the Queen's Guard, who is standing guard outside of some Queen's Palace or whatever. And this guy, as he should, does not react at all whatsoever to Booth being there. Which is stupid. Booth, they should have just waited to question this guy until he was off duty. Anyway, so Pritchard comes and breaks up the party and says, like, I don't know why you're questioning this guy. Ian was boning his sister. This Jasper guy's sister. That's why he headbutted him. He didn't murder him. And yeah, so we find out that Pritchard has been running her own parallel investigation at the same time. While Booth and Brennan are running off doing their own thing, which is so odd and probably not realistic, but that's fine. So, but Booth really wants this Jasper guy to react. So he goes back over and is like, sorry about your sister, man. And then the scene just ends. And it's funny. But the guy doesn't break. He stuck to his guns and didn't even let out a smile. Not even one.
Yes, I know. Booth felt bad because the reason that he had butted, did you already say this, that he hadn't butted in Ian Wexler because he was sleeping with his sister?
But okay, how many people has this Ian Wexler guy slept with? Jeez. Oh my
I just
God.
want you to know that the Henley Rowing Club actually exists.
Oh.
And it's a 40-minute drive from Oxford University. I'm looking at they do have racing, they have squads, they have sponsorship. I want to look at their kit, their t-shirts and stuff. They have like rowing kits.
Oh.
We should get matching Henley rowing blazers or something.
Ooh.
Funny. Nice sweatshirts.
Fancy.
Wouldn't that be funny if I sent that to you as a Christmas gift? A Henley Rowing Club sweatshirt. Anyway, regardless, I just want to mention as well that London is over an hour and a half away from Oxford University. I just want to mention that as well. Okay.
Oh, so that's quite a long drive for them to take.
Just a little fact.
Go check in on Jasper.
Yeah,
that's
he's
a bit ridiculous.
Queen's Guard, like you said, so he would be outside Buckingham Palace, wouldn't he?
I would think so. I would think it would be Buckingham Palace.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Unless she was at Windsor Castle, but maybe that's even further.
Where
Okay.
are we? Back at the lab?
So we're back at the lab, and Cam goes up to Sweets and is like, Sweets, you're amazing. You gave
Oh my
excellent
God.
advice. It's always hard to take you seriously because, you know, you're so little and so young.
Jesus,
But
Murphy.
I took your advice, and I guess that this is really helpful. So thank you. This is great. And then, like 3 seconds later, Angela and Hodgins walk up, and they're like giving her shit for just trying to do her job. Hodgins is like, you know, we've been doing an excellent job around here before you showed up. So regulate yourself, okay? First
That
of all,
was
this is his
another
boss.
really good line that I think we should get turned into a sticker or something.
Regulate
Or regulate
yourself.
yourself. I just thought it was really funny the way she goes. She's all like excited because she took Sweets' advice, told Angela the truth. She feels unburdened. She goes up to Hodgins and Angela, who are diligently working at a desk together. Why? I don't. They do two totally different jobs, but
They can do
whatever.
sex and work at the same time.
And they're so mad at Cam.
It's so
And
weird.
they walk away, and Sweet states the obvious again, and saying that there's obviously some unresolved issues. They have so much attitude. And can I just say, wouldn't a normal, mature person say, hey, Angela, do you want to go for coffee today? Let's go out for coffee. I want to talk to you. So you go for coffee, you have lunch together, and you talk about, you know, things, and you say, I have to tell you something. I feel very guilty. I feel bad. Like, wouldn't you just have a normal,
It
if
would
they
be
were
different.
actually friends, wouldn't you do that with
Yeah.
your friend and say, listen, I have to confess something?
In a
Instead of
private setting. Yes.
blurting it out like in the middle of work, and she's on the spot and she has no way to know how to react in
It's
this setting.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Well, fortunately, we don't have to deal with them for a whole other couple
Back in
scenes.
England.
Because we're back in England, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're at this cafe, apparently right beside the Thames, with
This is
so fancy.
where I found out how far Oxford was from London. I was like, what the hell? They were just at Henley and now they're in London.
They're just
What
jumping
the hell?
around.
Driving all over the. And my question is, I'm sorry, Brittany, but I'm
No,
so
go on.
incensed. They're having this thing. They're talking at this, having coffee or tea together. I'm like, didn't they just drive together for an hour and a half? Like, wouldn't they have talked about this on the way here?
Yeah, probably.
Jesus.
Like, hey, we just wanted to mention, when were you going to tell us that you were sleeping with Ian Wexler? Just a quick question. And then she starts acting like all holier than thou, like, oh, give me a break. Who wouldn't want to sleep with him? It doesn't have any impact on my ability to act as a lead on this investigation. That's so ridiculous. He was all well practiced and he was very good in bed, so I didn't really care about having him to myself. I just wanted to be able to bone him whenever I wanted. Anyway, it was a weird conversation. And so, fortunately, Brennan gets a phone call. And they have found something. Yes.
Before you get to the phone call, we learn in this conversation lots of things. Importantly, two important things. Ian Wexler slept with his students. We learned that.
Yep.
And that Booth is drinking out of a juice box.
I didn't even notice. Oh my God. I need to go back. I did not write that down. Oh my God.
So
now I need to
funny.
look. I'm looking.
You have to. It's so funny. They get a phone call. What happens?
They get
on the
he
phone.
totally is. He's drinking some orange juice.
Also, did I already talk about Brennan's awful sunglasses? She was wearing at them.
Every episode. Her sunglasses are always terrible, and his are equally terrible.
Oh,
stop! I don't know if it was the time or what.
No, his are fine.
Oh, his are always terrible too. So Clark, who is the only person working back at the lab, because otherwise they're all sexually frustrated and
back at the
having
lab.
issues.
Yeah.
Clark has discovered that the cause of death is that Ian Wexler was stabbed to death. There's this huge stab wound that would have pierced the lung and the heart.
So many
And
stab wounds. He's stabbed so many times.
this is not good. Not good. Very bad. So they ask Pritchard point blank, did you find a weapon at Ian's apartment that could have you been used to stab him?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, and I was there the whole time. Like I would have seen. And they're like, okay, why are you on this case?
So yeah,
You
she
are
goes,
now a
why, do you think I
suspect.
killed him? And Brennan's like, yeah, you could
Yeah.
have killed him.
Wouldn't you
Anyway.
also think that as an investigator? Like, this is not a jump. It's not a reach.
Yeah.
So then they do this weird thing where Booth goes and gets the car. Bless him. Oh my God. Will he ever find Brennan?
What a
And
gentleman.
Brennan, he's gonna pick her up in a bicycle by bicycle or something in
Yeah.
3 hours. So
Random.
so Brennan follows Pritchard to her car. And they have this very weird conversation. First of all, Pritchard just assumed that she slept with Ian Wexler because apparently he was the god of sex and it was just something she should have done. And she equates having sex with him to climbing Mount Everest.
On, man. Come
I'm
on.
like, Jesus. Like, calm down.
Well, no, it's because she said everybody's done it, but there's still an allure, like you still want to do it because it's still amazing.
Okay, yes,
So.
it's a rational thing, but it's still ridiculous. So then Pritchard is
I'm
like,
gonna say no one is that good at sex. I'm just gonna say this right now, especially a pasty white British boy.
He's athletic though.
I don't know, man. He seems like he'd be like so selfish.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's true. So then Pritchard says, well, we're all thinking that she thought that Booth and Brennan were a thing, that they might be hooking up.
Yeah.
And because she says that the only reason she didn't sleep with Wexler is because of Booth, but then has to go on to clarify that Booth had given her advice because it would just be another notch in Ian's bedpost, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Pritchard is adamant that she didn't tell them about the fact that they were sleeping together because she just didn't want to be taken off the case. Because if she was taken off the case, then she felt like she wouldn't be doing all that she could to help find his killer.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think it's weird, and I still think probably Pritchard shouldn't be on the case, but we kind of just, after all this sex talk and whatever talk, then it kind of gets dismissed that she is a possible suspect, which is weird. Mm-hmm. But she has this writ of release on one of the Frampton's building sites, which shows that Ian Wexler had signed off that the site has no historical importance whatsoever. And it was signed the day before, like immediately before he was killed.
He died. Yeah.
So that puts them back on Frampton, thinking, okay, maybe Frampton is the one who
the developer
killed him, like coerced him to sign this for him, and then killed him.
Mm-hmm.
But which is a good point. Also, a good point is they just had a whole lunch with Booth and Brennan, and she had this in her purse the whole time. And she chooses now, right before.
That was weird.
So weird.
I don't understand. Pritchard in that one scene was off. Like, I felt like that wasn't consistent with like what her character has been this whole time.
I wonder if it was meant to throw us off the scent of who the killer was.
Well, I just couldn't tell if Booth and Pritchard were antagonistic or if they were getting along. It was like it went through the whole gamut of like interrelation. You know what I mean? Like the way their dynamic changed.
The dynamic was very
Pritchard
odd.
Pritchard was mad because she was being accused of killing Ian, and then she got sad, and then she was talking about sex, and then she's talking about evidence, and I was just like, okay, can we be consistent here? Like, there's no consistency with the character.
She's a mourning lady. And so because she's mourning, she's all over the place. And I really agreed with what's going on.
In my notes, I said Pritchard should not be on this case at all, and this would never happen.
No,
Would
definitely
never
not.
happen. But right before Pritchard takes off, what does she say to Brennan?
What does she say to Brennan?
She says, "You should never give up your chance to climb Everest."
Yes.
And
Which
Brennan's
is
like,
that her being like,
Ian,
go for Booth.
of course she is. That's exactly what she's saying.
Go for Booth.
Because Brennan doesn't get it at first. She's like, well, Ian's dead, so I can't fuck him.
Well,
so then
obviously
she
I
asks,
can't.
and Brennan does his face like, ugh.
Ugh.
Like, Booth?
I'm not.
No.
Meanwhile, Booth is like, I love you.
Booth wants to get it in her so bad.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Ew. But also, yes.
Hey,
Okay.
David. Anyway.
Oh my God. Okay. So we go to see the developer, Brampton, and I'm just going to cut to the chase. He's like, are you seriously here accusing me of murder immediately after solving the sadistic murder of my daughter? Do you really think that I would go, oh, this murder seemed like a great inspiration to go and try this for myself? So anyway, he says that he has nothing for them, except that he does point out that there's this group called Saviors of Antiquity, which is some radical preservationist group that was threatening him for trying to build on that site. So he says, why don't you go and look at those people? And they just take his word for it. They're like, oh yeah, your daughter was murdered. Sorry we came by.
Whatever. He's acting like the classic American capitalist. I know that it's a cartoon character at this point. He's just being like, I don't like history. I'm going to develop. I'm a millionaire. Like, it's just all like, blah, blah, blah. You know,
I'm just trying to
bullshit.
improve the city.
I love that they shot all these episodes and like, he probably did that in like one take.
Probably. There's a lot of short scenes. Like there's 30 scenes overall, but they're all very short.
But hey, man, he got paid, man. He got paid. Regardless.
Yeah. Good for him.
So what do we have? We have back at the lab, we have Hodgins. He's on the phone with Brennan talking particulates. Brennan's confused. What is Hodgins doing calling her and not Cam? Hodgins says he's a big boy. He doesn't need to be managed. I'm just going to say this right now, that anyone who says that they don't need to be managed
needs to be managed.
Definitely. Hodgins
1000%.
Hodgins basically asks for more dirt and shit. And Brennan tells them that the Scotland Yard needs to get the request from Cam directly. Anyway, my question is, how are these particulates being transported? Are they being flown in by FedEx? And it made me think of that movie with Tom Hanks where he's lost on the island. What's that called? Castaway. I was like, oh my God. This is a very expensive investigation. I'm just going to say this right now. If they're flying pieces of dirt back and forth to America from England to look under a microscope, like, are you kidding me?
I think that during this episode, they had a crossover with Star Trek and they were just using the transporter.
Are they using the mushroom transporter?
That'd be very useful.
Oh my
God. Yeah, Hodgins just leaves it like, okay, I'll have my all-powerful leader send the request. Like, why is he upset? Why is he upset? Wouldn't he be happy that now Cam has ruined this for Angela? That
I don't care.
Like,
this investigation is costing millions of dollars, Brittany. It's costing so much money.
Okay, it's costing a lot of money.
Should be concerned about.
And it's being run by children because he should, because he's paying for it.
Exactly.
Now they're back in Sweet's office, which is weird because now
he's at the FBI.
But before, when Cam needed him, then he just came to the lab.
Yep.
So I don't know why they're doing this mediation back at the FBI headquarters, but that's fine. So Angela, Hodgins, Cam, they're all there.
Mm-hmm.
They're standing in a line. And they're acting like 4-year-olds who have just gotten in trouble. And they're being told by Sweets how they feel.
But basically, it's like you said, like kids, where you say, "Okay, say you're sorry, say
Yeah,
you're
literally.
sorry, say you're sorry." So they like listen. They're there because Angela and Hodgins are only there because they said that Cam threatened their jobs. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Hodgins practically owns the place. Hodgins says to Sweets that he wants Sweets to tell Cam to stop being so bossy, and then Cam says, "I'm your boss. Like, she has to be
Yeah.
bossy." Anyway, it's absolutely crazy. So, I just want to say here before they do their stupid apologies, because they're very dumb.
We can just skip past the
Cam,
apologies. Go on.
but Cam can have sex with whoever the hell she wants.
Yes.
She is an adult, consenting adult woman. She can do whatever the hell she wants with whoever she wants. Angela makes some snide comment at Cam. They all eventually apologize. Cam says, "I apologize for sleeping with people." Angela says, "I'm sorry for, getting mad at you, even though I gave you permission to say you could sleep with people." And then Hodgins says he's sorry for being so cranky. And
They're
like you
all
said,
ridiculous.
it's so dumb. This whole thing is so dumb.
It's literally like 4-year-olds because they're apologizing because they
Ugh.
have to apologize, but they don't mean their apology. They're not actually sorry. They're like, "I'm sorry for being being who I am.
I'm
I'm
sorry you
sorry.
feel that way.
I'm
I'm
sorry you feel that I
I'm
hurt you."
sorry you thought that I did that.
But
I'm
you're dumb.
sorry. I'm sorry that you got yourself into this situation.
I'm sorry that you were being so bossy.
I'm sorry
So,
that you don't understand what I'm talking about.
because you're dumb. And I'm sorry for calling you dumb. So anyway, it's just like ridiculous. They shouldn't. Sweets sucks at his job if this is how he handles mediation. So anyway,
Yeah.
and he started it by telling her to just go talk to her immediately, which the advice was good. She should have told her, but like you said, a different setting would have been good. So now we go talk to the two Charles Dickens characters, as you put them, Vera and Cyril. And Vera and Cyril both claim that they have no idea. They had no idea that Ian had signed off that there was no value to the place, that there was no historical value, because they'd been digging for 2 years. And although they hadn't found anything, they felt pretty good that they were going to find something because there was some Bronze Age find only 600 meters away. So they felt pretty good. Then Pritchard shows up and is like, "Hey, since we're running these parallel investigations and not sharing anything with each other until we meet in person randomly, look at this great information I found from my forensic accountant,
Oh
who
my God.
we found out that he was paid off by Frampton £25,000 to sign off on that page. £25,000, that's nothing. And this guy,
No.
she points out that he was a piss broke forensic anthropologist. And
There's your answer.
this is when I said, how
Yep.
much does Brennan make when she's not just writing books? Because she's doing pretty well.
Oh
So
my God.
anyway, both Vera and Cyril, who shouldn't be privy to this information, obviously are hearing this whole conversation happening. But Vera and Cyril, they just can't believe that he signed off that there was nothing on the site, because they just really thought that he wouldn't do that. So it's just a very interesting situation. They only have a couple days to vacate the dig, so we will find out if we find out more. We will find out if there is more to be found out about this dig. So we're back at the lab with Hodgins and Clark having a moment and actually working. Yes.
Two things. I'm just going to go back a little bit. Brennan is wearing those terrible sunglasses again. Really bad sunglasses. And this is where we found out why he lived in squalor, basically.
Yeah.
I know Ian Wexler, and I was going to throw this at you, and you're probably not going to know this movie, and Mark might not even know it, but it's a movie called With Nail and I.
How do you with nail?
Withnal, With Nail and I.
Okay.
Anyway, Richard E. Grant, who's currently very famous right now for being in Saltburn. Anyway, they play these two poor, disgusting, impoverished, deadbeat London artist guys, or they think they're artists, And anyway, it's just quite something.
I can absolutely verify
Yes.
with absolute certainty that I have never in my life seen this.
Richard E. Grant, like I said, he's very famous right now for Saltburn.
Yeah.
But I love Richard E. Grant has been around a long time. He's been in so many movies, and he's in movies like things you've never heard of, like With Nail and I and The Merry War, and he was in a really amazing, famous movie called How to Get Ahead in Advertising.
Okay.
Where he plays like this advertising executive that this his sort of alter ego manifests itself through a boil on his shoulder. It's a boil. And the boil talks to him. It's like his kind of his alter ego that hates his job and hates like what he does for a living and stuff. Anyway, it's quite funny.
That'd be funny. You know that he was also in a cinematic masterpiece in 1997, right? Which is
that?
where I know him from, Kelly.
Yes, what's that?
You may not have heard of this movie. It's
yes, it's a masterpiece though.
It's called Spice World. He is the Spice Girls manager.
That's so funny. No,
as soon as I saw who it was, I was like, "This is the guy from Spice World."
I've never seen that. No, that's so.
I told
funny.
you it's a cinematic masterpiece. You gotta,
oh
you
my
gotta watch.
God.
Oh, I love that movie when I was younger. I was like obsessed with that movie. I guess I would have been 7 when it came out.
Wow.
If you want to be my lover, then they do all the dancing. They have a bus.
Gotta get with my friends.
Anyway, so he's a very famous actor known for lots of incredible work.
Yeah, well,
including but not limited to Spice World.
And With Nell and I.
Anyway,
and sorry. I had to do that because I was thinking of Ian Wexler living in squalor, like With Nell and I, in his little bachelor apartment. Anyway.
But then he finds his big break as the manager of the Spice Girls.
Okay.
So everything is fine.
No, I'm not going to tell you what happens to him and With Nell.
No, please don't. It's going to be depressing.
Those terrible sunglasses that Brennan is wearing, I just want to say, England is not that sunny. I'm sorry.
No, it's very cloudy and kind of rainy.
Yeah.
So Hodgins and Clark are actually doing a little bit of work, so we should commend them for that. But Hodgins keeps pointing out that he found it wasn't just in the scene. He mentioned it before to Brennan as well, that he found traces of mercury fulminate, which is going to be important. So they think that it was on the weapon when he was stabbed, based on where they're finding this mercury. Felt fulminate on the body. So they have different theories about how it's used and where it's from. There's lots of them: tanneries, manufacture of explosives, etc., etc. So they have this information, but they don't really know how to use it yet. So they're gonna communicate it, which they already did, to Brennan, and see where it takes us. All right. It takes us to London. We have
back in England, we have Booth and Brennan. They're having a pint at the pub, and this pub is hopping. It's full. It must be like right after work. Everybody's having a little drinky drink. Pritchard ends up joining them at the pub. Booth tells her that he wants to be knighted, and basically Pritchard thinks that Booth is drunk, that he's had more than one pint. Apparently, they find out after Pritchard shows them some paperwork that one of those, what's the name of the activist group? It's called the, you're muted, darling. Something of antiquities.
Saviors of antiquity.
Right. So apparently this activist group called Saviors of Antiquities used explosives or something to light one of Frampton's developments on fire. It's very convoluted and
Extremely
weird.
convoluted.
It doesn't matter because they blew up a site that he was trying to develop pretty recently. 2 members of this antiquities activist group were charged. Only one of them was let go, and that person's name was Cyril. One of our Charles Dickens characters was a suspect in this particular vandalism thing. So Booth thinks that Cyril would have been really mad about Wexler taking the money and signing off on this dig site so that Frampton could then develop the land. Anyway, we find out in this moment that the other Charles Dickens character, which we know this already, was Vera. This is when I found out her name was Vera.
Okay.
Because we have a scene with them just walking around talking together
and chatting about how they're shutting down the site.
They're crying. They're very upset because the dig site's being shut down. And then they get are they confronted at this point by Booth and Brennan?
Yeah. Booth, Brennan, and Pritchard. And Vera, they're trying to divide and conquer. They want Brennan to talk to Vera in the lab, in Wexler's lab. And then they want they want Cyril to talk to Pritchard and Booth. And so they're like, oh, you got to tell us about this? And they have this picture of his mugshot. He's like, man, like, I just joined that group because I wanted to get with women. Why are you trying to? I'm not in that group anymore. I went and saw my mom. That's where I was. I was in Wales. I was in a whole other place. And I had
eating eel. He was eating eel.
Gross. And, it's his favorite dish.
Vera never goes to the lab to talk to Brennan.
No, she doesn't. Because this is a very quick conversation. And she's like, no, he quit the Savior so long ago. Why are you even questioning him? She starts standing up for him. But yeah, I don't think he did it. So I think we can rule him out.
We're good.
But now we're back in this dungeon of Wexler's lab, which Booth points out is like a dungeon because Booth goes down there.
Okay, question. Is this the same day that they were at the pub and he's drinking all the beer?
I'm pretty sure. Which is totally. Yeah. He's loaded while he's working. That seems
very
good.
silly because he walks into the lab and he's like, oh, he's acting like I'm Frankenstein. Imagine all the Frankensteins. And of course, fucking Brennan. Apparently, actually, it's always a nerd that says, actually, it wasn't Frankenstein was the doctor. It wasn't the monster. Anyway,
or
we
like
all know.
Wayne's favorite show, Magic School Bus. Dorothy Ann always says,
yes.
According to my research.
Same fucking
my research.
Dorothy can fuck off. She's no fun.
Whatever,
Absolute
DA.
Pill. Brennan has this look on her face that Booth recognizes as like kind of an aha, like I figured it out kind of moment. And then Pritchard's like, oh my God, Wexler got the same look on his face when he found shit out. So she found this extra bone. Like Clark actually found it, but he pointed it out and she pulled it aside. And she thinks that this bone, this extra bone that I found near the body, was actually used to kill him and stab Ian Wexler with.
Yeah.
And then she tells Booth and Pritchard that this bone is not just any bone. It's a really, really, really old bone.
How old?
Is like 2,000?
2,000 years old.
That's crazy, man.
That's insane.
I hope one day that somebody has my 2,000-year-old bones. I still want to be that mummy, I'm telling you.
Same. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Mummy in a case.
I wrote here, isn't there someone other than Brennan working on this case in London as well?
Listen, she's in a dungeon. It's dark. She's alone. apparently this guy Ian Wexler was so popular and all of his students had sex with him. And like, I don't understand. He's part of a rowing club. He's part of a gentleman's club. And I'm like, why? Yeah, I have so many issues with this
I just had a
situation.
thought, but I need to
What?
confirm because
What?
he's finding this because he just reconstructed the skeleton, but he's getting casts of the bone, which take time to transport. But she's had the actual skeleton this whole time. Isn't like the first thing that you would do, wouldn't it be to try to put the skeleton together? So did she already have the skeleton together? And wouldn't she have realized that there was an extra bone?
This is like there's so this
while
is like
ago?
that case where she just noticed the breast implant.
Oh my god. Well, it's the skeleton. It is. It's laid out. Like she put it together.
Oh boy.
And she didn't realize there's an extra bone. This is supposed to be the world's leading anthropologist.
Well, she also just found breast implants all of a sudden in that one woman, the woman at the airport.
True.
Remember her?
True. Anyway, okay, so another reason why Clark is king of the lab because he's the only capable person in this entire episode. Okay, do you think we hit off everything in that scene? I think so. We have an old bone. That must be the murder weapon.
Old bone.
And Booth thinks that the murder was done out of panic because
and rage.
That there was no active symbolism.
Brittany.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say this. This is what I wrote in my notes. Ready for this?
No. Yes, I'm ready.
Next, we have Angela and Hodgins at the Royal Diner. And I'm going to let Brittany take this away because it's stupid.
It's stupid. I thought that you would want to talk about it because
don't worry, I'm going to talk to you. I have questions.
Okay, everyone. As Kelly had been hoping since the beginning of time, let me just cut to the chase. Yes. Angela and Hodgins break up, and it's the most awkward situation I have ever witnessed in my whole life. Yep. I could barely watch the scene. They're having this conversation. They sit down at the Royal Diner, and they start to digest or decompress, or they start to go through all the little things that have happened. Point 1, Angela is upset that Cam slept with Grayson, with Birnbaum.
Right.
And Hodgins can't understand why it bothers her. They're divorced. They barely knew each other. Why is this something that is upsetting her? And she thinks that he doesn't trust her. And that if he trusted her, then he would understand why she feels the way she does. And how can two people who don't trust each other get married? How can they, Hodgins? And then she just...
Hodgins? No. She says Hodgins doesn't trust her because he's upset that Grayson's still in town.
Yes.
That's why he doesn't trust her.
That's what she's accusing him of. And he's going, well, why do you even care that he exists, basically? And then she's like, you know what? If two people, they talk about this thing in like third person. If two people can't trust each other, then they probably just shouldn't be together at all. And then he's like, what? You really think that? And then she's like, okay, yeah, I'm leaving. He's like, okay, I guess so.
Oh, listen, this is okay.
He seems so confused. And he's like, I don't know what's happening right now. And she's like,
Angela is the problem here. Angela's 100%. The problem. And this whole thing where it's like, you don't trust me, you don't trust me, you don't trust me.
Well, yeah, you made out with him when he walked back in the room.
And then she's like, I'm leaving. And he says, well, you're the one that's leaving. And she's like, well, you're not.
You're the one that isn't stopping me.
You're not stopping me.
What is happening right now?
It's like, I'm answering the phone. It's like, well, I'm not going to answer the phone. Like, it's just like a very dumb, like, I'm leaving. It's like, you're the one that's leaving. She's like, you're not stopping me. It's like, it's so
I
That is codependent behavior. I'm just going to say
Yes.
this right now.
Oh, yeah.
Expecting the other person to figure out what the other person
Beg
is
for
thinking.
you to
Beg for
stay.
you to stay, do all this stuff, chase them around. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you? This is the worst communication. And how long has this been going on?
2
Seriously.
years. I honestly think Hodgins was completely shocked at what was happening and like too shocked to properly react. And 2, not taking her seriously and being like, okay, you just need space. Let's
Are we going
reconvene
to
later.
find out? Okay. Are we going to find out that Angela was like just freaked out because she just got a divorce and then she's going to marry this guy? But the last time she's supposed to get married, it was like kind of on a whim. And, then she was probably relieved maybe that they didn't get married. And then she was kind of getting used to not being married to Hodgins. And now she's got to get married to him. She's just kind of freaking out about it. Is that what we're going to find out?
I don't know, but that's kind of my read of
I know
what is
she's
happening.
going to have an appointment with Sweets, and Sweets is going to talk to her about her fears, and she's going to be like, it's going to be one of those things, isn't it? This is so dumb. This breakup is so
I'm looking
dumb.
it up.
Don't spoil it. You look it up, and I'll go back in England, okay?
Oh, that spoiler was horrible.
Oh, does Hodgins get in trouble or something happen to him that she has to save him and then so she gets back together with him?
My lips are sealed.
You're funny. Okay, let's get this done.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Booth and Brennan are at the dig site. Brennan points out a whole area. They're looking around. They're like, oh, look at this. Look at this. There used to be something here. There used to be, oh, what's this area? There's a site. This is part of the dig site that's all covered up. And there's skids all over it. There's like tarps and everything. Anyway, regardless, they point out this area. It's full of Bronze Age shit in the ground. And pretty much, maybe I'll get you to explain this, but at the end of the day, Vera, one of our Charles Dickens characters, pretty much confesses immediately that she stabbed Ian to death.
Well, after Brennan trips her.
Well, because Brennan, her so she doesn't get away, and then Booth can handcuff her. But why did Vera kill Ian? I don't get it.
Because it would ruin her reputation that she was associated with a site that Wexler had signed off that there was nothing, but when there actually was something, then it would come out that he took this bribe because he was trying to give back the money to
what
try
does that have to do with her?
It makes no sense. It just seems like she was upset because she was upset because it would ruin her reputation and it would ruin, like, she wouldn't be able to publish anything on the dig probably.
Doesn't make any sense.
Even though she's worked there for 2 years. It's a PhD crazy person thing.
Is it? Would your sister be able to relate to something like this?
She has worked with people that are like a little cray-cray.
Like the sisters, yes. Yeah. I get it.
So, yeah. So basically,
the original lab rats. The original lab rats.
The OG. But it just
Jess's place.
It just doesn't make sense to me because if she kills him, then what did she think was going to happen with the dig?
What is she doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And honestly, it's brutal. Do you know if you stab somebody one time? Not that I've done it. Let's make it clear, okay? But imagine that act of like the decision to kill the guy. And then she does it again and again and again and again and again.
Which is like psychotic.
Puts him in his bed, puts a cigarette in his hand, lights his gas on, and leaves the bone. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like very calculated and fucked up.
Yeah. Regardless. And then Pritchard, because she has Stockholm syndrome or something, is like, wow, that's so Ian. That's my Ian. He's so noble that he was happy to accept a bribe if he thought that there was nothing there. But once he found that there was something there, then he really wanted to return the money because he's just an upstanding citizen.
You think she was being nice? I thought she was being like She was like, fucking Ian, of course he did that. I thought that's how she was saying it.
No.
Okay.
Maybe that is how it
I
was.
disagree with you because I think she was like annoyed. She was annoyed. She's like, typical Ian. Takes the money, and then as soon as he finds out it's like a Bronze Age thing, he's like, oh, I'm going to be a good guy and return the money. It's like, whatever.
That's probably how I should have interpreted it, but it's not how I did. I was just
All
like,
right.
okay, this lady is obsessed with him.
All right, so we got our man. We got our man.
We got
What's
our
next?
man. And now Angela is trying to
Back at the
call
lab.
Brennan, as she should, outside of work hours. Although I think she actually is at the lab. So anyway,
Yeah, she's
and
in
she
the
leaves
bone
this
room.
voicemail. Yeah, she's in the bone room. She leaves a voicemail for Brennan saying like, "Hey, Hodgins and I broke up. Like, can we chat? I really need to chat with you." And then Grayson is there suddenly. Like, where is this guy coming from? And who told him that they broke up?
Walking
Are they Facebook
freely.
friends? And now she's
Walking.
changed her status to single?
Walking
Like, how
around the
he's
lab.
he's like, I heard you broke up
I
with a
heard
small
you broke
angry
up.
man.
I heard you broke up with the small angry man. Where'd you hear that?
Exactly. How does he even know? And then he's like, so before I leave, I just wanted to ask you one more time. She's like, fuck off, buddy. I'm nobody's. Like, go away. And then Clark is like, okay, Kim.
No.
She
Then
comes
he
in.
he asks Angela. Grayson says, would you want to give me a lift to the airport?
And Kim
walks
is
in,
like,
goes,
oh, that's a code, eh?
oh, that's your line. That's how you get girls to do this. Oh,
That's
I see.
it. And
you
then
don't have a ticket to go to Fiji at all.
And Clark is like, you know what, Cam, here's my lab coat, my ID, my keys. Just take it all. I don't want to work here anymore. And yeah, I'll drive to the airport, Grayson. And he's just like, it's been interesting working here, but I'm a man of science and there's just too much drama going on here. So he goes
Clark
and he drives.
quits.
He quits and drives Grayson to the airport. And
Like,
I don't know,
this is crazy.
maybe something will happen to them too. I don't know.
Clark
Maybe,
is
like
as
you
crazy
said,
as everyone else. When he does this, he's proving that he is as
that he
crazy as everyone
belongs.
else because he quit. Does he do this a lot? Can you tell me that? Does he just keep quitting and
He
coming
doesn't.
back?
No, he doesn't. But he does come back.
That would be funny if that was something he did all the time. Like, okay, bye.
I wonder. You know what? I'm sick of this. I wonder. I'm gonna look up when we're gonna see him next. Sorry for the spoiler, everyone, but he becomes one of my favorite characters. So
He's here the whole time. Are you looking
he's
that
awesome.
up? We're back in England.
Yes.
This is weird. Booth and Brennan are having tea in this sort of library that's supposed to be their hotel lobby. It's basically like a huge, huge room with long tables and chairs. Pritchard shows up and gives Booth a fake knighthood by, putting some kind of piece of cutlery on his shoulders, and then she gives him a fake sort of kid's medal to put around his neck. And it's very sweet. They're saying goodbye. Pritchard offers Booth a ride to the airport, which is like, okay, is this a thing that I never knew about, the whole ride to the airport thing? Because I never got on the ride to the airport train, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that
Booth's
this is
like,
just a Bones thing.
So then Booth says, come on, if you come to the States, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then Pritchard walks away. Brennan starts teasing Booth about how much Pritchard likes him. Anyway, they walk out of the room together. They're kind of arm in arm. They're cracking jokes with each other, and they're on their way back home. And it's very cute. Very cute.
It is really cute.
All right, let's do this. What'd you think?
As stupid and silly as this episode was, I did like it. Like it had good entertainment value.
Of course.
But I was still like, what is happening?
What is happening? Abso-flabo is my saying of the day. Absolutely flabbergasted at some of these situations, some of this like legal things that would never happen in a million years. crazy.
Did you like it though?
Dark dungeon labs.
Did you like the episode?
Not as much as the last one. I'll say that.
That's
I
fair.
felt like Cam's character was highly disserviced. I think Pritchard's character was highly disserviced as well. I thought she was, the first episode, she was far more, a much stronger character in the last episode,
Yeah.
But
think
other
that
than that, entertaining, blah, 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 right? Always fun. But I felt like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like this guy gets stabbed and lit on fire. Why are they even doing this case? Like it doesn't make any sense.
he comes back
What
in
are you
episode
looking at?
9 of this season.
Okay. Oh, that's so far.
That is far.
Oh no.
I'm actually
I
kind of
thought
sad
he came
about
back
that.
the next day. That's too bad. Clark, don't be such a prude. Speaking
Come
of Clark, we
back.
already know he's your king. Who's your rat?
Who's my rat? My rat
Yeah.
is probably Angela for being insane.
Wow.
Like, what is she doing? I don't understand her behavior at all in this episode.
You're not stopping me. You're the one
Like,
leaving.
yeah,
You're
you're
not
leaving. What do
stopping
you want?
me.
What do you want?
You don't
Okay, how
trust
about
me.
you? Who are your people?
You're not stopping me. You're not stopping me.
I'm like, okay.
Angela, why do you need so much attention, Angela? Jesus.
She would say,
'cause her-
sweetie.
It's because her father was in ZZ Top and he was never home and she never got any
Yeah.
attention. So she's desperate. She's desperate. So she wants Hodgins to chase her around.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't know. I had a hard time with this. The king, especially. I'm going to
Did you
do
come up with
something
one?
really unorthodox. Okay.
Okay.
You are going to have a conniption fit when I say this. And it's
Hodgins
only
is your king.
It's only because it's very slim pickings. And it's because he said a really funny thing.
It's definitely Hodgins.
It's
He's moving around
Hodgins!
like crazy. Of course it is.
He said, regulate yourself.
I'm gonna use that at work. Like if anyone's getting like intense, I'm gonna be like, regulate yourself.
Regulate yourself,
Regulate
bitch.
yourself.
My king
Or to Wayne, maybe.
is Hodgins.
If he's having a hard
because-
time. Regulate yourself.
Regulate yourself, friend. It's sort
Sorry.
of another way of saying simmer down. It's interesting.
Oh yeah. Okay,
I
so
like the way
Hodgins
he's-
is your king.
I like the way he said it. I thought it was funny. Also, Booth says simmer down in this show, in this episode. Okay.
There's a
He
lot
says
of
it when
people
he's
acting crazy.
What? Well, he says simmer down when they're looking at the Buckingham Palace Queen's Guard guy, and they want him to leave him alone. He's like, simmer down. Anyway, my lab rat is Cam
Why?
for being a weirdo about this whole thing. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought she was out of character. It's more the writer's fault for making her weird.
Yeah.
Cam is a cool, calm, aloof, collected, very easy, like chill person. And they made her an absolute freak in this show.
I wonder if she'll
This
go back to
episode.
normal in the next
Oh, God.
episode.
I hope so. Here's
Or-
hoping.
Well, here's to hoping, but at the same time, we now have this new dynamic that Angela and Hodgins are broken up, and Cam appears to be the cause.
No.
She's
Cam's
not the cause. She's
No.
not the cause in reality.
No. I'm not
But I have a
accepting it.
feeling
This
Angela
guy,
will
Grayson,
blame her.
Grayson is not important enough for any of this to have happened. Grayson and Angela barely know each other. This is like if somebody told me they had sex with one of my exes from like 20 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like my ex-boyfriend.
Like, good
even
for
from
you.
My okay,
Thanks
great,
for letting me know.
fine. Seriously,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
it's weird.
Anyway, on that note, you feeling good?
All right. Yeah.
I feel good about it. Let's wrap this up, shall we? I just want to mention to people, please go onto your podcast app right now and rate our show 5 stars. And then you can write an insulting comment. Like if you don't like the show, you can give me 5 stars and then you can say whatever you want. Okay? I promise. 5 stars. Thumbs up. Review and subscribe. Subscribe on your podcast app. Subscribe on YouTube now. We have videos of our faces. We do our faces now, and we do the regular audio as well. So we'll have 2 copies of the episode going out every time. And yeah, be nice if you want. Even though, like, if you don't like us, 5 stars, say whatever if you rate me 5 stars, you can say whatever you want. Okay? Anything
But also
lower than
nice
that,
comments are allowed.
I would love to hear something nice. Tell me something nice about Brittany's giggle. Tell me something nice about, I don't know.
Kelly's singing voice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
I love it.
Especially my singing voice. Anyway, so thank you again for listening to this episode of Squintcast.
Squintcast.
All right. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Squintcast with me, Kelly Booth, and your new friend, Brittany Elsner. The Bones theme is performed by The Crystal Method. They can be found on Instagram and YouTube at The Crystal Method and at thecrystalmethod.com. Intro and outro music is by Twisterium at Pixabay. Cover art was done by Irena Dolenc-Stajan. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Squintcast. Email us at squintcastpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at fab_empire_ on Instagram and TikTok. Brittany is at Brittany81523 on Instagram. See you next time.